Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another live stream. This one's called IPSA Kind of Magic, and it's specifically promoting and talking about members of IPSA, the Independent Property Search Association, and their search agents. Jackie Dyson is both the director of IPSA and also, in her own right, the Yorkshire Search Agency Limited. Hamish McLay is our friendly neighbourhood search and conveyancing fella who actually helped me put this together in the first place. And today we're discussing, well, in fact, I'm going to throw Hamish straight under the bus. What are we talking about today, Hamish?
Well, I better say up front, because I do go on if I'm not careful. It's basically what's hidden from us when we carry out local authority searches, because we've actually found, and it came to light more so just recently on doing some research in a property in London, which is a definite sort of fire risk. You can't get a mortgage on it, nor could you insure it.
Yes, indeed.
Wasn't declared anywhere within the local authority. I thought there must be other things as well that you can't actually see. And if you want to know anything about land charges and what the land charges obviously or local authority searches, you get somebody that knows about it. And Jackie knows it. She's worn a couple of different hats. So Jackie, with her vast experience, this is why I thought, let Jackie come on, because there's certain things, and you'd have thought they would be there somewhere, but they aren't.
Welcome, Jackie. Yes, as a man who's fairly well known for having a reasonable number of hats, I appreciate someone else who wears many different hats. So in your experience, I mean, I'm thinking about this. There's the known knowns. That's the type of things that come up in searches normally. The known unknowns, so stuff that's come out before but you don't know whether it's going to come up or not. But the stuff I'm most interested in is the unknown unknowns, the stuff nobody knows about, that the vast majority of our viewers would never even know existed, but that you come up and find during the midst of it all. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, I mean, there is a few things that don't come up in searches, but it's possibly because the local authorities are not responsible for that information. There is a lot of information that goes into conveyancing file that the local authorities just don't hold. There is questions on the local search that even now the authorities who fill them in still haven't got the information, such as radon, the radon gas. They don't hold the information about that. It's environmental, so it's not the responsibility of the local authority. So that is definitely one question that shouldn't be on the search. So but the one that Hamish
but it could be quite critical to have that information, yes.
Yes, it can, but you can do a radon search for 99. I think it's about $1.99, something like that.
Right.
And radon is, I mean, majority of the searches we do that we pick it up, and there's only 3 to 5% chance of the property you're purchasing that is in a high radon area, or depending where you are in the country, obviously, because it's like. Some areas have coal, some don't, some have sandstone, some have limestone. And it's the same with radon. There's certain parts of the country that have a lot of radon and others that have none. So it's to me, it's not up to the local authorities to really answer that question. There is a lot of other searches out there that will answer that question better for you. But as Hamish was saying, it's about the ones that aren't answered, or ones that the local authority don't have the information. They don't have all the information. And the one that Hamish was on about was the cladding on buildings.
Oh yes.
So I took a little look. I didn't have a big look because there's so much information out there. And the one thing he asked is, why is this not revealed under building control? Well, the building regulations, obviously fire safety does come under the Building Act of 1984 and the building regulations of 2010. and they set requirements for fire safety. Obviously, the building inspectors look at the safety of the building, etc., etc. But also during that process, the fire brigade, I don't know which it'd be, the fire safety officer, I've no idea, comes into the council department, picks up the plans for them of building regs applications, has a look, takes them away, has a look, and then comes back and says, yes, that fits in with the fire regulations or the safety regulations. Obviously, since the Grenfell Tower, there's been a lot of investigations, there's been a lot done about it. And I found something yesterday, and it's fire safety in houses and flats, which was only published on the 2nd of May this year. And it's how and when buildings have to have the external wall cladding, or EWS, looked at. And I found that the people that have a majority of questions on it and answers is actually the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors.
Right.
So they have questions and answers of what is called an EWS 1 form, which is the external wall system form. And there's information on there about mortgages, insurance, buying and selling. There's quite a lot of information there that conveyancers should be aware of if they have these type of buildings in their area.
I mean, it does seem to be frustrating that, I mean, particularly for you guys, that this kind of information seems to be dotted around the place, not necessarily, in the easiest of places to hunt down.
No, but as I looked at it, the local planning authorities, as I say, have no powers or responsibilities around fire safety of buildings or the materials that are used in buildings. Some of it does fall on the building control department and the fire brigade, but then there's other places that will have more knowledge than what planning authorities, local authorities do. So as I say, I went onto the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors site, and there is an enormous amount of information on there. So that is where I advise people that have got a flat or apartment that is affected by external wall system to go on there and see what they can find. Obviously, the local authorities don't have chartered surveyors that will look at this sort of thing. So they can't answer that on a local authority search or have that information available. So, as you said, it's dotted all over the place. There is not one place where you can find that information. But I would say if you go onto the RICS site, that could answer a lot of your questions.
Hamish, it appears to me that people like Jackie's work gets frustrated because records can be dotted all over the place.
Well, I'm thinking that also there's another aspect about Jackie, which I don't know if we've revealed before. There was a good reason why she herself left working with the local council, and we'll let her actually explain about that. I think this is a sad thing, and it's very fortunate, particularly when you look at the incredible experience that Jackie has. And indeed, we're very fortunate. So many IPSA members have been working with us now, some of them over 20 years, some of them 15, some of them sort of 10, and there's very, very few who've just started. So if you approach anybody within IPSA and you're looking for an IPSA search, it's just a geographical thing. And of course, there's Jackie way up there in Yorkshire, and I'm down here in Oxfordshire, and we can actually work for each other. And that's what we can actually sort of do, so we can get that combined experience. And with local authority searches, the way this is the unfortunate thing that came to me. It was doing that additional research into areas that Jackie is familiar with, and I'm not really, that I came up with this. Well, why haven't we got any information? How on earth do you find it? Because basically the solicitor's got to find it from somewhere, and sometimes where they're looking, it's not there. So it's not actually, it's not in the public domain. I think that's the best way of explaining it.
It just seems to be a frustrating, heavily manual mess of information. It doesn't, and am I right in thinking that from borough to borough, where exactly to find this information can vary?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Jackie,
Yes,
tell me
yeah,
more.
it does from council to council. It does depend where you can find the information. As we know, life is online nowadays. There's stuff you can go into one council and find online quite easily, and then you go into another council and it just doesn't exist. It all depends as to how their sites and information is kept. You get councils that seem to keep more information and councils that seem to keep less and less and less, as much to say, well, what does it matter? Who wants to know? It's quite frustrating, really. It comes down to your seniors in the council who tell you what information that you should give and shouldn't give.
Right.
Or when there's workers there that want to give more information, they're told no, they can't. So local authorities, people that work for them, sometimes their hands are really tied.
Yeah.
It's what they want to do is not necessarily what the bosses want to do or the elected councillors want to do.
Right.
Yeah, so that is your difference between councils.
Okay. Well, it just seems to be unnecessarily confusing how to lay your hands on this information. But I tell you what, the one thing that does occur to me is it's your many years of experience, and the fact that you are, should I say, poacher, a gamekeeper turned poacher, if you like. But Hamish did allude to the fact that there was a reason why you left the employ of the council and went out on your own. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, of course you can. Yes. The thing is with councils, and if there's anybody on here that who's listening who is a council worker or an ex-council worker, they'll know exactly what I mean. If your face fits, you've cracked it. It doesn't matter how lazy you are, etc., etc. If your face fits, you've cracked it in a council. If it doesn't, no matter how hard you work and what you do, you've had it. I was in a job in the land charges, doing this job as I do now. And the person who taught me now works at a local council in Yorkshire. In fact, I live in that council area. He taught me very, very well the ins and outs of land charges and how to record things and what information should be available. He left and I applied for his job and I went for the interview. I knew exactly what I was doing because for the 6 or 7 months that he'd gone, I did his job and mine. And after the interviews, I was informed I didn't get in the job because I didn't have enough experience. So therefore, I assumed the person that had got the job, which was above me, grades above me, would know exactly what they were doing when they came into the department.
Well, that would be perfectly logical.
It's logical. So imagine my surprise when a young lady who had no idea what we did in the department got the job. And it turned out she was the assistant chief executives of that council's little pet. And he thought the sun shone out of her bum. And I mean, I felt sorry for her because she was thrown into the deep end. And when she came into the department, she sat there and she's, who's going to teach me? And they turned around and they said to me, oh, Jackie's going to teach you how to do it, how to do the job. And I went, no, excuse me. I am not experienced enough to teach her how to do her job. Oh, but you are because you've been doing it. Oh, so I can't have the job because I'm not experienced enough. But you give it to somebody, then you want me to teach. So the answer was go forth and multiply. And it took the chief executive.
I think that's a technical expression for that.
Yeah. It took the chief executive to come over to the office and ask me nicely if I would teach this young lady the job. So I did, which in a way was good because it then taught me other things. And then what I did, I applied for a job in the planning department, got that job, and it taught me an enormous amount more about searches. A really enormous amount more. I then learned about building control, the difference between planning and building control.
Right. I'm only just learning a little bit about that.
Yeah. It teaches you an awful lot. And I worked in a little section. We were what they call the information unit. So if people wanted to know anything about planning, anything like that, they would come in and ask us, and we would find out.
Right.
But we also used to get personal searches coming in. So therefore, we would do Hamish, back in the days, we would do the personal search for them free of charge. So,
free of charge, you say?
Yeah, free of charge. And we used to do it. And actually, one of the gentlemen that came in, Dennis, I got very friendly with him. And when he retired, fortunately, his solicitor's company came to me and said, will you now please do our searches? So it turned out good in a way. So it taught me an enormous amount. So not getting the job in land charges taught me an enormous amount of what I need to know now. But it also gave me the opportunity to take money and work off the councils.
Well, just think if you had got that job, we'd all be worse off.
Well, this is it. The thing is, I wouldn't have then gone on to start my own business to do personal searches. So therefore, the councils wouldn't have lost the enormous amount of revenue, because I set up before a lot of these big firms ever existed.
Right.
So such as, and Hamish knows one of those very big firms that's actually based in the same area as me, that's now owned by a massive company that we don't mention, do we, Hamish?
No, yeah,
so therefore,
that.
it's the council's fault for not giving me the job I should have had. So that's how I came to set up my own business.
So should we be thanking the council for not giving you that job in the first place?
Yes, I think so, because there's a lot of personal searches company out there that probably wouldn't have started.
No, absolutely not.
They hadn't known the job existed.
They wouldn't have started from that point.
Yeah.
Did the relationship you forged with that young lady to help her take on the job that you should have had mean that you've remained? She became a good contact for you?
She did, but unfortunately, she's passed away. She was only very young.
Oh, poor lass.
And she was very, very ill. One morning when she came into the department, something happened and we had to rush her to hospital. And from that illness, she never fully recovered. And unfortunately, at a very young age, she passed away.
Oh,
I think in her mid-40s.
Poor girl.
So it just shows you it's... I mean, I never took it out on her. It wasn't her fault.
No.
She was just doing as she was told. And she was on what they called... Do you remember the Youth Opportunities Training Scheme?
Yes.
That's what she was on. That's what she was on. And because when that finished, she needed a job. And that's when the assistant chief said, oh, this one's yours. And I was pushed to the back burner. But there you go. That's life. Right. It's sometimes things work out for a reason.
Hamish, thank you once again. A very interesting take on why searches can be so damn confusing. Thank you very much, Jackie, for giving us the benefit of your experience and telling us a little bit about your story, which I personally found very interesting. In a wry way, a little sad, but also, in a way they did us all a big favour. So thank you, council. You made the right decision for all the wrong reasons. Thank you very much, Hamish McLay, for coming up with this thing. Jackie Dyson, thank you for taking part. I'm Gareth Wax of Many Purple Hats. We tend to be here most weeks on a Wednesday, ready to talk about all things IPSA. But until the next time, I wish you all well. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Wear some sunscreen and look after that mental health. Bye-bye now.
Bye.